Hello there, Ray here, and I'm joined by Akron.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
And today we're going to show you guys a new 1.13.1 carpet duping as well as rail duping. So previously in 1.13.0, I showed these two examples. This one here is a rail duper that came up early in the snapshots, and it is locational, but you can see if you stack it up high enough, you can get it to work in different areas, but it still works in 1.13.1. And this one over here was something that Akron showed me. He's a ProTech member. And this one was made in such a way that it would duplicate these rails when it was used in 1.13.0. But as you can see in 1.13.1, it no longer works. So Akron and I today are going to show you how to use the carpet duping as well as a new rail duping for 1.13.1. So although carpet duping still works in 1.13.1, it is still directional or locational. So here I have an example. This is one that Doc M showed. He rerouted the way that's set up, and you can check out this video down in the description. And this one, you can power it from the back. Even powering it with a piston, you can see that it works, and it's pretty small. We currently have a command at spawn that is killing items. That way they don't build up here. So you'll see the items pop off, but then they'll disappear really quickly. Now I also have an example over here that just has a power source routed around underneath, and this just has a off lever that you can turn on and it'll work on itself. Now the way that the carpet duping works is it works best with these pistons pointing in the north or west direction. So here's north and there is west. It also works better in some quadrants. So doing some testing, we found that the quadrant of positive, negative seemed to work pretty good, but it is somewhat locational, so it might not work in all locations. Now Grimly, a friend of ours from the 240p server, came up with this design here as a 1.13.1 rail duping. And this design is very similar to the other one that we use for rail duping, except this is swapped out with a carpet. And you would power this, and it would duplicate the rail on the ends and could possibly duplicate the carpet. Now this design here is also locational as well, so it should work in this location, but as you can see, it doesn't always. It works best in the west and north direction, and the slime that's hanging off of it, you want that pointing either in the south or the east direction for it to dupe the rails. It also seems to work best in the quadrants of negative negative or positive negative. And all that means is that these coordinates here are positive then negative or negative then negative. This design here is a nice design, although it is locational and can be very annoying to find a location that works. So we set up some of these examples, such as this one here, and just keep duplicating it in different areas, and then you can see that once in a while it'll have an area where it works. Here you can see that that rail is duping, and here you can see like the carpets are duping, but the rails aren't duping. Here's the other directions that commonly don't work. In some areas such as this one, you can see that none of the rails are duping. So in conclusion, if you want to get a carpet duper to work, it is pretty much locational, but there is some things to look for that may help you out. Now we want to talk about a rail duper that is non-locational that Akron showed me.
It's actually kind of nice. I was messing around the other day, and I was finding that when you place a torch to power the rail, it'll go ahead and dupe the rail when it's destroying the torch. It was late at night, and by the time that next morning, somebody, I think, had gone and posted something very similar to this, where they had a observer pointing into the very front end, except for theirs was maybe a little longer, and I can't remember their exact name. But of course, it shows in the end that if you have the right kind of a clock going, you can dupe all four at once.
Now this reminds me of something that Ed Example showed during the snapshots, which was a TNT duplicator in 1.13 snapshots where he was having a torch break off and it would duplicate the TNT. And you can kind of see how this could cause something similar to happen. So the nice part about this machine is that it is non-locational. It don't matter where you put this or what direction you're facing or anything like that. As long as you get the timings right for the piston extending as well as retracting, it will always duplicate these rails. So right here, I put in some redstone so you guys can see the timing that it takes to make this perform it as a dupe. So what it does is it's going to pull it and it's going to power this rail from this observer because the observer just got moved. And then after it powers the rails, it's going to push it and it's going to dupe. So here is the timing. And if I just create this update, it's going to send an update along this observer as well as this one. And this is going to make the piston here pull. And then it's going to shortly come in and then make it push again. So there we go. We're going to launch it. And you'll see it's going to pull. And the observer is being moved. It's going to power this rail. As soon as it powers the rail, it also pushes the whole part back forward again, and it causes the rail to dupe. Now it's really important that the observer is in front and first thing in this entire line that updates this rail next. So to build this up, it's quite easy. You just need 2 observers and some slime and some rails, and you have a stick piston here, which goes into the slime, which is an L shape, and you have this observer, which is pointing into this rail here, and you need an observer up here, which will just create a clock back here. And then what you do is that you keep it powered all the time, and then once you remove this power, between this piston and this observer, it's going to create a clock, and then this observer back here will update the rail and cause it to dupe. And you can put any type of rail you want into here, so you can put like the detective rail, the activator rail, the power rail, or even like a normal rail. They'll all dupe in here. And Acheron over here has a big one, and this one you hooked up to a different type of clock, which is in the back here. So if we remove this power source here, you can kind of see it's making the same kind of delay, and it's causing it to pull and then push, and you can see every type of rail is being duped on here. There you have it, guys, how to make rail as well as carpet tubers in 1.13.1. So if you guys found this interesting, show us with a like and share this with others. If you'd like to see more crazy stuff like this for 1.13.1 as well as beyond, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button to get notifications. If you have any questions, tell us down in the comments. Bye
Bye bye.
bye!